everyone, my name is Brandy Collinborn. I am the owner and artisan behind Brushed by Brandy, and I am a member of the Redesign with Prima home decor team. And I'm here today because I want to talk to you guys a little bit about casting molds using the redesigned silicone molds and amazing resin, two-part casting resin. So we are going to cast some molds today. So this coming week, I'm really excited because Redesign with Prima has some new molds coming out. So this is one of them that we're going to use today. See those regal lions? And that's called Royal Emblem. And then I'm also going to use one called Forest Treasures, and that's a sunflower mold. And what I really like about these new molds is they actually pair up with some of the new Redesign with Prima decor transfers. So in this case, this one can be used with the sunflower fields transfer and then a sunflower mold. You've got a peacock transfer, and there is a peacock mold. We've got the Sea Maven, who's she's a mermaid, and she would go with any of the water transfers or even any of the mermaids. She's very luxurious. Here's a nautical one that goes with some of the nautical transfers. And then another cool one is there are some leaves that go with the tropical transfers. So I really like that they paired them up and made them matched sets. So for my piece that I'm going to be working on, I'm going to be doing a piece in the sunflower fields transfer. And what my inspiration is I want it to look like an old seed packet. The piece that I'm working on, I want to look like an old seed packet. And I'm going to do that with a combination of the transfers and the molds, and then aging them really nice and giving my piece kind of a burlap texture so it looks like an old seed bag. So I'm going to point my camera down so you guys can see where I'm working, and we will go ahead and cast some molds today. So the one we're going to cast is this guy here, and it's because I love these lions and I really want to see those details come out when I cast this mold. So this is my resin here. When I order resin, I order it by the gallon, and that's because I do so many pieces that I go through a lot of casting resin. Now when you go to the craft store, this is available on the shelf at Michael's, Joann's. It's called Amazing Casting Resin. I also have this in my Amazon shop. And what you want to look for on the box is it says it turns white and cures in 10 minutes. There is another one, the box looks very similar by the same brand, that's a clear resin, and that one cures in 8 to 10 hours. A good key is if it's clear, it usually is a longer cure time, and the white is usually the shorter cure time. So you want to look for turns white and cure in 10 minutes, and that is your casting resin. It comes in the container with little measuring cups. They're like these that you would use to measure out like a children's medicine. And the resin I'm using today is exactly the same as you get in that box, just in a larger quantity. So it is a 1-to-1 ratio, and I'm going to mix them here in this cup. So I'm going to go ahead and take my medicine cup, and I'm going to pour 1 container of this. Now the amount doesn't matter, because as long as I get the same amount of part A as part B, they will cure. So this resin is really forgiving. If you're slightly off in your mixture, it will still set up. Some of the other, the cure or the clear coating resins, if you are off in your mixture, they will never set up. So I did 1 part of my part A mixture, 1 part of my part B, and I poured them into the same cup. Now when you first start mixing, it's got kind of a milky consistency, and I want to stir this till that milkiness sets up, and that's only about 30 seconds. You don't want to stir too long, because remember, you'll only have that 10-minute cure time, and if you don't pour this fast enough, you will end up with a beautiful cast of your cup. So can you see how that got a little more translucent than it was when I first started? So when I'm pouring molds, I always like to make sure that I have extra molds out, and that's because I don't want to waste any resin. So I would rather have too much cast than not enough. And I will pour extra molds and then put them in a shoebox, and then I can use them as I need them. So I'm going to pour this guy here. Now I prefer to underfill my molds versus overfill them. So I make sure that I pour it very slowly, almost drizzling in some of the details. It is a liquid. And I'm going to go ahead and pour this emblem that's in the middle here because I have enough. And then I have a tiny bit more, so I'm going to open up one of these other guys and we'll just pour, because like I said, I hate to waste resin. I would rather cast it and have an extra mold than not enough. So I'm just going to cast one of these guys from the nautical. called Mariner's Voyage, just because they're nice and small, and I'll be able to use this little tiny bit of resin that I have left in my cup. I may have enough for this lion. I'm going to go ahead and try the lion. I'd love to have a pair of these guys. I'm going to have enough, guys. Okay, and you'll notice as I get towards the end, I'm just drizzling it into the mold, and I'm going to let my cup empty out completely. I can feel my cup start getting warm, and that means that that chemical reaction is taking place. And then I'm just going to take the popsicle stick that I stirred with, and I'm going to help my resin. It's a liquid, but I'm going to help it find the really fine details on my mold. So I'm going to push it into the corners, make sure that it fills every little detail on this mold. Some of the tails on the lions are really fine. So resin works nicely because a lot of the redesigned molds have really fine details, really small, you know, these little fingers here on the steering wheel that can be really hard to get into with some clays and other material, but the resin, because it's a liquid, it will find it naturally. So this is a mold that I've already poured, and I poured this just about 10 minutes ago. So I can feel it, and it feels warm to the touch, and that's how I know it's starting to set up. When it starts hardening, can you guys hear this? That's how I know that it's set up in my mold. So these are still kind of fresh. See, I've got a little corner here that's not quite all the way set up. There's some little spots here that are a little bit translucent. So those are still needing a little bit more time. But you can see on this one that we just poured, the lions, you can see how the tops of them have already started turning white. So those are going to cure really quickly. Now I feel like this one here, I could go ahead and pop out. When I'm popping the mold, applique out of the mold, I will work my silicone around the edge of my resin. And then you get that pop. And it's the most gratifying feeling because then I can work this resin right out of the mold. So this is the center of the sunflower. And you can see all the detail that's in that. And once I put a little bit of paint on that and a little bit of gilding wax, those details are really going to come alive. So I'm going to use this as a center, and I'll add some of these petals around the edge. And that's going to be a really nice size sunflower mold. So I'm going to let these sit for a little bit longer, and I'll be able to pop them all out along with my lions that we just cast. But I think you guys can see from that how easy it is to cast these appliques using the silicone molds from Redesign with Prima and a 2-part casting resin. The one I used today was by Amazing Resin. So I hope that helps you feel less intimidated about Amazing Resin. Go follow me at Brushed by Brandy on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube if you like this. And of course, Redesign with Prima, also on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. Thank you guys so much.